Hey friend, in this video I am going to be walking you through my entire process of painting and creating a cohesive color palette. So I start with my inspiration photo and I'll show you my process for how I grab the undertones and other similar hues that I want to use inside of my painting from a reference photo. So if you're struggling with color palettes or color mixing and knowing what colors to combine together, then this video is going to be perfect for you. It's also the second part of an entire series where I'm walking you through my entire steps, all of my steps for painting a loose style floral piece, and we're going to be doing some cafe au lait dahlias for this one. So lots of really fun, dusty, kind of difficult colors to mix up. So if you're wanting to mix up blushes and more of those brown undertone colors like in cafe au lait dahlias, then this video is for you. So now that we have our thumbnail sketch decided on what composition we're going to do, I now want to start gathering inspiration for my color palette for this piece. So I'm going to be painting dahlias, and like I said, my favorite dahlia type is the cafe au lait dahlia, which is like this really pale brownish, very tiny hint of pink in it. So I'm gonna go on Pinterest and open up some images of cafe au lait dahlias. So cafe au lait dahlias are this light kind of blush color right here, and I love how fluffy these petals get. They're so pretty. But as you can see, not one cafe au lait dahlia is the same. Some are more pink, some have more orange and yellow, some are really like white-ish brown. Those are the more elderly ones. They're just like less in color and fade in color as they get older. Love these tones. This is a lot more of the yellow ochre, a little bit of the burnt umber mixed in with some pink, tiny touch of pink. So I love these colors. And one thing that I look at first is deciding what my main hero color is going to be for the color palette, and that is this one. And so once I have that, I'm going to screenshot it. I'm going to zoom into the photo a bit more so that I can really get a sense of all of the undertones. So as you can see, there's a lot of yellow, but inside that yellow there's some green, some like limey chartreusey green. So some greens to complement these colors would be really nice if we did it in the green gold range with like a lot more yellow green in them. I also love the purple that's showing through. It's like a reddish pinkish purple with a lot of brown in it and some more of that champagne color. So those could be the colors that I stick to if I want it to feel really analogous and really subtle transition in color, like everything is super in line on the color wheel. But if I wanted to spruce things up and make it a bit more high in contrast, then I could throw in some blue. And the reason why I'm choosing blue is because some of these have a little bit of an orange undertone with the brownish color, but it's not orange in these flowers. So it will have some subtle contrast because it'll pick up some of those orange undertones in there and help elevate them or make them more obvious. But that smoky blue-gray color would be a really pretty color to complement these dahlias with. And so I'm going to start just mixing up my first primary color, a few different shades of that champagne. So I'll start with a base of brownish gray. So I've got burnt umber and a touch of carbon black as my base. And this by itself would be too brown, so I'm just gonna grab a touch of pink and bring that in to make my first color. So we have this really brown, light brown mixture, and we can add some yellow to it for more of those yellow undertone flowers. We can add more pink to it for more of a blush color, even more pink if we want. More of a blush color, and the lighter I go with my values, the more it's gonna be the color that I want. So these are just like the darker concentrations of the mixture that I'll just use as probably the wet and dry layers and some of the darker centers of the flowers. We can also add ultramarine violet, just a touch of that, just like a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of that, and see how that shifts. That's a very nice color. So we're just changing subtle changes in the flower petal colors to keep it in the family, keep it really subtle. And then our leaf colors, and then here's some lighter value of that purpley, dusty purple color. And then our leaf colors, I'm thinking some green gold would be really nice. But using green gold by itself for this, I think would be too, that's actually pretty, really pretty. But I want to add a little bit of sap green to it so it's not so aggressive with the yellow. So that's nice. And so we have a lot of this gold in green gold. It has a little bit of that brown undertone, which is complementing the brown in the petals really nicely. So then let's add a more contrasting secondary color. Since these are more of my hero colors, they're going to be used a lot. Let's add a subtle contrast for a leaf color that we'll just use really sparsely. It won't be dominant. It'll just be there to add a little bit of contrast. So I'm adding blue to, or Prussian blue to green gold and a little bit of sap green. But I don't want this to feel so bright, so I'm going to take out some of that brightness with a little bit of black. And now it's more of a smoky green, so I want to, which is a really pretty color with this too. It just has a little bit of blue, but I want to add a little bit more blue. And now a little bit more black to take out the brightness, and a lot of water. It still needs more black. And that's a very nice, subtle, almost like a eucalyptus or silver dollar color, which is going to be very pretty against these blush flowers. So my inspiration is there, my composition is there, I have my color palette selected. I might also add in some deep, bold, rich floral colors too, to add more contrast, especially in my second layers for wet and dry. So let's mix up a really deep, moody blush. I'm going to use Dragon's Blood and quinacridone and primary red magenta. More brown. And so this will be kind of there for an element of moodiness. And we can even do more brown for some, more pink for some, maybe a little hint of purple. So it's basically just a darker version of these colors, darker and thicker. Okay, so we have our palette selected, we have it all mixed up, and this takes some time to really get familiar with and comfortable with color mixing. But just think about the undertone and the overall aesthetic or like vibe of the color that you're wanting. If you're wanting it to feel less vibrant, take out the vibrancy with either the contrasting color. So if it's yellow, take out the vibrancy with purple, or vice versa. If it's purple, you want to take out the vibrancy of the purple, add in yellow. Or you could desaturate the color and add black instead, which sometimes I prefer over adding contrasting colors. But play with your colors, play with the values of each one of your colors too, because you're going to want to use a wide range of those as well. And then in next week, we're going to start the painting with our first layers, basically the majority of the painting, and then the following week, the final week of this month, is going to be those final details using wet on dry technique. Thank you so much for watching that video. I hope it was insightful and helpful for you for understanding my process of how to come up with a cohesive color palette using a single reference photo And also just going out in nature and taking your own photos is a great place to start as well. So if you are just getting started with watercolor, make sure you check out my 2-hour deep dive free workshop here on this YouTube channel called The Complete Beginner's Guide to Watercolor. It will teach you everything about all the techniques you need to know. It'll teach you all the things about supplies, techniques, color theory, etc. And I also have a PDF version of The Complete Beginner's Guide workshop, video workshop. That's 40 pages and also completely free. So we'll link to both of those below. Make sure you check them out. And if you want to take your skills to the next level and start developing your style as an artist and go deeper into the world of art and all the fundamentals and things that they don't even tell you about in art school, then make sure you check out my online course called The Art Within. It's an amazing, super in-depth online course that'll teach you all the fundamentals, perspective drawing, vantage point, color theory, techniques, plus all the history and all of the elements that you need to learn in order to develop your own style as an artist. So make sure you check that out, and I'll see you in the next video.